The giants beneath the stars. The howling winds of Titan's surface whispered through the reinforced hull of Outpost Erebus, the most advanced human research station beyond Mars. Nestled within the frozen valleys of Saturn's largest moon, the facility was a testament to human determination. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel had braved the frigid, nitrogen-heavy atmosphere to uncover the secrets buried beneath its icy crust. Dr. Ilias Vance, a planetary geologist, sat hunched over his console, eyes darting across the complex streams of data coming from the deep penetration scanners. His fingers twitched as he adjusted the filters, trying to make sense of an anomaly that had appeared only hours ago. Something immense, something that defied all expectations. His breath fogged against the visor of his indoor respirator as he spoke into his headset. "Command, are you seeing this?" His voice was steady, but the underlying urgency was impossible to miss. A moment later, Dr. Naomi Patel, the station's lead astrophysicist, appeared on his screen. Her dark eyes were focused, calculating, her expression unreadable. "I see it, Elias. That's not natural." Beneath Titan's thick layers of ice, their instruments had detected something colossal. A structure spanning nearly 400 kilometers in diameter, buried under the surface like a fallen god forgotten by time. But it wasn't just size that made it terrifying. It was its shape, the unmistakable contours of something built, not formed. A structure that shouldn't exist. Within minutes, Outpost Erebus erupted into a frenzy of activity. Automated dig teams, massive, heat drilling machines designed to carve through ice and rock, were deployed to investigate. Live feeds from the drills displayed metallic hull plating, fused with minerals that shouldn't exist in nature. Strange engravings, almost resembling forgotten human languages, decorated the exterior, adding an eerie sense of familiarity to the alien craftsmanship. Vance and Paddle stood in the command center as Commander Alex Mercer, the base's military overseer, entered with his security team. His presence was a quiet force, rugged, battle-worn, and always unreadable behind a permanent scowl. "Tell me you have an explanation," Mercer said, arms crossed. Vance exhaled sharply. "We don't. But we're going in." Mercer narrowed his eyes. "Absolutely not." Patel cut in. "Commander, this is the biggest discovery in human history. We need boots on the ground." A tense silence followed. Then Mercer sighed. "Fine, but we do this my way. No civilians in the first wave." Vance clenched his jaw. "I'm leading the first team. This is my discovery." Mercer stared at him for a long moment. Then, with a reluctant nod, he said, "You get one shot. But if it turns sideways, I'm pulling you out." The descent into darkness. The drill board tunnel was silent except for the hum of their suits' life support systems. Vance, Patel, and a team of 4 military operatives moved cautiously through the artificial cavern, their helmet lights piercing the unnatural blackness ahead. After nearly 3 kilometers of descent, their boots met something impossible: solid metal flooring, smooth yet worn by time. Their breath quickened as they stepped onto the structure's surface, realizing the truth in real time. This was not just a ship. This was a planet-sized megastructure, a behemoth designed for something beyond human comprehension. Patel whispered through the comms, "My God, it's ancient." The walls stretched beyond the reach of their lights, covered in strange glyphs, some resembling proto-human symbols dating back to Earth's earliest civilizations. The metal beneath their feet was too perfect, too unchanged, despite being buried for what their scanners suggested was millions of years. Vance's heart pounded as he wiped frost off one of the markings. His gloved fingers traced the impossible engravings, his scientific mind battling the realization screaming in its head. Then his helmet's HUD flickered. Something was still here. System interference detected. Vance's suit eyes stuttered before rebooting. Then, for a fraction of a second, something flickered across his visor. A shadow. A figure. A presence. His stomach twisted. He wasn't alone. He spun around, his flashlight cutting across the cavernous interior. But nothing was there. The rest of the team had noticed the same glitch, their body language stiff with alertness. Then the lights came on. Not theirs. The ship's lights. A deep guttural hum vibrated through the structure, as if something had just awakened after eons of slumber. Glowing amber lines of energy snaked across the walls, illuminating the interior in an eerie golden hue. The engravings pulsed, shifting, changing, as if the ship itself were recognizing its new visitors. Vance swallowed hard. That's not possible. Then, before they could process what was happening, a voice rang through their comms. Not in English, not in any human dialect, but they understood it. A cold, mechanical whisper spoken from the depths of time itself. Who dares wake me? The air grew heavy with an ancient presence, something that had existed long before humanity ever set foot in the stars. A message from the past. Mercer's voice crackled over the comms. Vance, get out of there. Now. But Vance stood frozen, breathless, because the ship, no, the entity, had begun rewriting the symbols on the walls, forming something legible. Words, sentences, a message. Patel whispered the translation aloud. You are not the first. Vance's blood ran cold. Not the first. A sudden earthquake-like tremor shook the structure, as if the ship itself were alive, reacting to their presence. The team scrambled for stability, their minds torn between scientific awe and pure, primal fear. We need to leave. Now, Patil shouted. But before they could retreat, the chamber before them opened, revealing a vast, hollow core, a cathedral of alien architecture stretching endlessly below them. And inside it, floating like a suspended titan, was something even more terrifying. Not just a ship, not just a machine, a being. And it was waking up. The awakening of the Titans. A low, guttural vibration rippled through the colossal chamber, reverberating through the ancient metal structure, as if the very walls were breathing. The eerie amber lights flickered, casting long shadows across the team as they stood frozen at the precipice of the unknown. The entity, a being suspended in the vast hollow core of the ship, was stirring, and its mere presence felt like an unbearable weight pressing against their minds. Dr. Elias Vance clenched his jaw, his pulse hammering against his skull. His gloved hand instinctively hovered over the controls on his wrist, ready to trigger the emergency beacon that would summon reinforcements from Outpost Erebus. But something in him, a deep primal curiosity, held him back. You are not the first. The message carved into the ancient walls burned in his mind. What did it mean? Who came before them? And what happened to them? Commander Alex Mercer's voice crackled through the comms, cutting through the heavy silence. Vance, Patel, pull back. Now, that's an order. Dr. Naomi Patel, her dark eyes wide with barely contained awe, shook her head. Commander, we can't leave yet. This is first contact. This is history. Mercer's response was immediate. That thing isn't history. It's waking up. And if it's anything like what buried the ship here, we're all dead if we stick around. The entity moved. Not in the way a human moved. Not with muscle and bone. It was something vast. Something beyond the understanding of flesh and blood. A presence made of living metal and energy. Its form shifting, reforming, adapting as it came to life. The suspended mass of machinery twisted with slow, deliberate motion, a sleeping god stirring after an eternity of silence. Then came the sound. A deep, resonant chime, not heard with the ears, but felt in the very marrow of their bones. The vibrations traveled through their suits, through the metallic floor beneath their boots, through their very atoms. And then the voice returned. The cycle continues. Patil gasped, her breath fogging against her visor. It knows we're here. It's trying to communicate. Vance's scientific instincts overpowered his fear. He activated his suit's linguistic reconstruction module, a high-tech attempt to decipher alien languages in real time. The walls responded. Glowing amber glyphs danced across the surface, rearranging themselves, reshaping into something comprehensible. The translation appeared on Vance's HUD, and when he read it, the breath left his lungs. The architects failed. Will you? The architects. Vance's fingers trembled over his console. Architects. He muttered. Who were they? Did they build this? Patil turned her visor towards the floating monolith, eyes searching for answers. Or were they like us? Explorers who found this place, and she hesitated, swallowing, and didn't make it out. Mercer's voice came in again, this time more urgent. Vance, Patel, pull back. This thing isn't friendly. But Patel ignored him. She took a cautious step forward. The entity reacted. For the first time, it moved toward them. Not with speed, not with aggression, but with purpose. The very air around it distorted, warping the light, as if gravity itself bowed to its presence. And then Patel screamed. She dropped to her knees, clutching her helmet as if her skull were being crushed. Vance lunged toward her, grabbing her shoulders. Naomi, what's happening? She gasped, her pupils dilating in pure terror. It's showing me. Her voice was barely a whisper. Memories. But not mine. Her breathing grew erratic, and Vance could hear her heartbeat spiking through his headset. He turned toward Mercer. We need to get her out of here. Mercer didn't hesitate. Extraction team, move in. The visions of the past. But Patil wasn't finished. She suddenly jerked upright, her body rigid. When she spoke, it wasn't in her voice. They came before you. They built. They fought. They lost. Vance's blood turned to ice. Who? He demanded. Who are you talking about? Her head tilted slightly, as if listening to something only she could hear. Then her eyes widened in horror. It's not a ship, she whispered. It's a prison. A deafening boom shook the chamber. Lights flared across the walls. The ancient engravings shifted violently, as if trying to warn them. The entity's form shuddered, as if struggling against unseen chains. Then, for the first time, they heard a different voice, a voice that did not belong to the entity. Containment breached, releasing failsafe. Vance's stomach dropped. Failsafe. Mercer reacted instantly. Vance, Patel, out. But it was too late. The walls exploded with motion, ancient machinery coming to life. A wave of energy surged through the chamber, lifting Vance off his feet and slamming him against the metal floor. His HUD glitched, static filling his ears as the systems in his suit malfunctioned. Through the haze, he saw Patil convulsing, her body caught in the surge of alien energy. And then, everything changed. The floating entity shattered like glass, its form breaking apart into thousands of shifting, twisting fragments of light and metal. But instead of dying, it expanded, spreading across the chamber like liquid fire, seeping into the very walls of the structure. It wasn't a prisoner. It was the warden. And now, its prisoner, the thing it had been containing for millennia, was waking up. Vance struggled to his feet, dragging Patil with him. Movie. The ground beneath them split apart, revealing a tunnel. If we do that, we might collapse the entire tunnel system on ourselves. Mercer exhaled sharply. Then we move forward. Weapons hot. Stay close. With no other choice, the team ventured deeper into the forgotten corridors. The walls around them pulsed with eerie amber veins of energy, lighting up as they passed. It was as if the ship itself was watching them. But something else was watching too. Something that had been locked away for a reason. The forgotten prisoner. The deeper they went, the heavier the air became. The ship, or prison, felt like it was alive, its very structure humming with power. Vance checked his suit's scanners, but the readings made no sense. The composition of the ship wasn't any known metal. It was something more, organic. Then Patil stumbled, gasping. It's awake, she whispered. The thing they tried to contain. Mercer raised a fist, signaling the team to halt. "What is?" he demanded. Patel shook her head, eyes unfocused. "It doesn't have a name. It's a force, a mind that exists across time. The architects tried to hold it here, but she trailed off, her face going pale. They failed." Vance felt the chill run down his spine. "Are you saying this thing killed them all?" Patil swallowed hard. "No, Elias. I'm saying it consumed them. The echoes of the dead." As they continued forward, they entered a massive atrium, a cathedral-like space stretching beyond the reach of their helmet lights. Then they saw them. The bodies. Lining the walls, the floor, even the ceiling, thousands of humanoid figures, frozen mid-motion as if they had been caught in their final moments of agony. Their forms were partially fused into the walls, their limbs twisted and elongated, their faces locked in silent screams. Kaminsky swore. What the hell happened to them? Patil's voice was barely above a whisper. It didn't just kill them. It absorbed them. Their thoughts, their memories, everything they were. Mercer clenched his jaw. "We are getting out of here. Now." Then the bodies moved. Not all at once. Just a flicker of motion, a twitch of a finger here, a shift of a head there. But it was enough. They were still alive. Or at least, something inside them was. Then came the voice. "We were like you once." It didn't come from one mouth. It came from all of them. A chorus of whispers, overlapping and writhing through the air like a living thing. Vance's blood ran cold. "No, no, no, no. We tried to fight it. We tried to hold it here. We became part of it." Patil fell to her knees, hands over her ears. "Make it stop. Make it to stop." Then the lights in the atrium went out. The cycle resumes. For a terrifying moment, there was nothing, only blackness. Then something stirred in the dark. Not the frozen bodies. Something bigger, something ancient. A low, guttural growl rumbled through the chamber, rattling the very bones in their bodies. Then the lights flickered back on. And it was there. Suspended in the air, just beyond their reach, was a mass of shifting, writhing darkness, tendrils of liquid shadow coiling and reforming, mimicking faces, hands, bodies that were not its own. It wasn't just one entity. It was all of them. The architects, the others, the civilizations that came before. Absorbed, merged, forgotten. Vance's breath caught in his throat. "Oh my God." The entity pulsed, and the whispers turned into a roar. "You are the next. The cycle must continue." The walls of the ship came alive, shifting, closing in around them. The frozen bodies began to move in unison, their mouths stretching open as if preparing to scream. Mercer didn't hesitate. Fire. Fire now. Gunfire erupted, tracer rounds slicing through the dark. But the bullets passed through the entity as if it wasn't there. Because it wasn't. It wasn't a creature. It was an idea, a hunger, a memory of extinction itself. Vance grabbed Patel, dragging her to her feet. "Run!" They sprinted as the atrium collapsed behind them, the walls warping as if reality itself were being rewritten. The ship was closing off the exits, trying to keep them inside, trying to make them part of it. Then, a break, a corridor leading upward. Mercer shoved them forward. "Move!" They ran, faster than they ever had. The entity roared, the whispers screaming in 1,000 languages, begging them to stay. Then, at the last possible second, they leaped through an opening as the walls slammed shut behind them. Silence. Darkness. Then, a single voice, softer now, almost curious. "You are different." Vance gasped for breath, his mind reeling. Mercer was already on the comms. **** comment, if you can hear this, nuke the site. Now. But deep in the darkness, the entity shifted once more, and, unseen by the survivors, it smiled.